Yeah, so Rev 2 of this air control is working better than Rev 1, but it's clearly not good enough. As I bring the airplane in for the day, I've got some thoughts of what I can do. Okay, so I've got a good start on my model here, but definitely the pressure or the volume that's going through there is slower. So I came up with this restrictor plate. It's just a winter add-on. It fits very snugly to the original cowl and is held in place with one screw and a nut plate. I'm hoping that it will reduce the airflow and also give me the second benefit of reducing the pressure on my control plate. One thing I may find out is that I have blocked off too much air with that restrictor. I hope not, but I guess we're about to find out. Well, that answers that question. We're already at 200 degrees, better power back and get this thing on the ground. So, as I said, when I was coming into land, that I'd come up and think about something. So I made this restrictor. Now this is modified from when I actually used it. I put this on and I flew it, and it restricted the air already. It restricted the air so much it was like this was a brick wall. This picture here shows you what it looked like. You can see it mounted to the cowlings, and you can see the plate up and behind it, so everything shows you what it actually looked like. Back to live here, it was an oval with two vertical slots that came up not quite all the way. I could experiment with it, simply put it on the engine. I also found when I had it on the engine that I could tell before I even left the ground that it was going to probably cause me a problem. My coolant temperature got up to 160 degrees before I even left the ground, and that's pretty uncommon, especially on a winter day when it's freezing or slightly below freezing. To see 160 degrees even after run-up, that just doesn't normally happen with my airplane and engine. What we got here is a heater core. The core here is 7.5, and the width is about 6. So my rad in the engine is about 12 inches wide, and it's about 18 or 19 inches long. So this thing is practically, not 50%, it's like a quarter of the size. So it sits in my engine on an angle, something like that. Air has to come in this way and then go up through the rad and get out, and that's the way it's installed in the plane. I'm going to see if I can build myself a little wind tunnel experiment. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a 25 or 50% scale model of my installation. We can experiment and see what it takes to restrict the air, find out which one of these surfaces is the most critical in restricting the air. And I might even be able to experiment a little bit more and seeing. I talked about the pinch in the radiator. I might be able to find that. I may find that I can move my pinch. Right now, I think it's about. If you look at this scale, it's about at this point it's pinched. I may find I can move it forward or whatever, but that won't be the main goal. Okay, so I've got a good start on my model here. Anyway, I'm building it this way because I'm trying to build the backside here. So this strip here I cut with a jigsaw, and this is all one piece, and it's just held in place on the core with duct tape, same as the other side. I then took about 1.5 inch strip and glued it here because it's basically flat. This is a 2.5 or 2 3/4 inch strip here, and it's glued on. It's held with tape, but it's also glued. And then I cut some strips similar to these, a little wider here, and put them in here. So these are in place and glued. And inside here is just some newspaper to protect the actual core, because one day I might actually want to use this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these strips that I made with the jigsaw. We're going to slide these in here and fill it up. And I'm going to glue them. Now I'm not gluing it to the little heater core. I'm gluing the wood to the wood. And when all's said and done, that wood will come off of there as one piece. So as these strips go in,
here's the paper from Heidi up the steps here.
yeah, all right. So as these strips go in, I'm going to glue this end and this end so it fits to this surface, and I'm going to glue this face so it glues to that. One at a time here.
Something from my bike here that you finished.
Yeah, all right. There's one. I'm getting there. One more piece to go. So that is as slick as they come. So now everything fits. So we'll just run our finger down here, smooth out some of that glue. Here I am with my model of my radiator air intake and radiator itself. So this is a plywood model I glued together and duct taped it here and there to seal it. And this is my crude but hopefully effective wind tunnel I've got here. There's a big fan inside there. This is Lexan, this is cardboard, lots of tape. We're going to give this a shot and we'll see if it works. Let's sort of evenly distribute this strips of confetti on the core. It'd be nice if this thing was more level. So what I want to do is just sort of evenly distribute it around the core. It doesn't have to be perfectly even, but I want a little bit of confetti everywhere. And the purpose of this test has nothing to do with what I've been trying to do in the last couple of videos of making my engine run warm or anything. This is just a sort of proof of concept to see if, in fact, on the perfect world, all of that confetti should get blown off because there's reasonably good distribution of air coming throughout the entire core. And that is done by, having an opening, and then this curvature in here pinches it off, so it stops all the air from going to the back, and tries to force the air to go in a pattern like that. And we hope that we catch the worst place, of course, should be up here at the very top. So let's turn the air on and see what this does. Fire! Well, I would say that core is working pretty good. In fact, I can feel air up here, and I can certainly feel air, and I can feel air here. You just try to drop that on anywhere, it blows off. So there's definitely air coming out. Yeah, no matter where you put it. So yeah, definitely. I can feel with my hand. There's more distribution of air coming from about here back. But that's about what I expected. But all in all, pretty good. Okay, take two with the confetti. So I got it mounted on a ladder so that I got the body of the core more level, so we don't have, the other time it was sloped, so gravity may have assisted some of it from going down. So let's check that out. Move this back as much as I can so we can see as much as possible. 2, 3, fire! So, looking at it like that, There definitely is some dead air right here at the top, that's for sure. I see it fluffing, but could be the mass too, more pieces than others, but you know, if you separate it out, it starts to move. There's definitely air there. I brought my wind tunnel or blast tube down into the basement to conduct some more experiments here. And what I've done is I've got 4 sets of strings across my model radiator core, and I got some tufts of tissue paper on there. And the whole purpose of this is just to establish the base flow for max flow. So right now everything is sealed up, and whatever air is generated in the tube has to go through the radiator because it's sealed and there's nowhere else for it to go. Some of the experiments I want to do is try to add air restrictions in this area to see whether the bottom portion of this plenum or the top portion of the plenum causes the most significant restriction to flow through the radiator. But for now, let's just try to establish what the base flow is going to look like. Turn on the fans. Okay, so we can see getting pretty good indication and getting good, what looks like relatively good airflow across the entire core from top to bottom. The trick will be to try to figure out when I restrict the flow as to exactly what percentage or what amount of flow is being restricted. That's what I want to try to measure. So just quickly, there's the bottom. Move it through the center. I see air movement everywhere. Now when I bring it to the top, I see that this part of the rad really goes flat. See that? As soon as you come down. Yeah, so definitely the top is the most significant. Alright, well we figured that out. Top, middle, bottom. To me it looks like the bottom has the least amount of effect. I definitely see see when I'm at the bottom, you can see the amount of deflection of those indicators is higher. When I go to the middle, cuts it off a bit, but there's flow throughout the core. It's startling when you come to the top how much it cuts the air off in this area. Alright, so a pre-grill, if that's what I want to use. I leave the top undisturbed and I block off the bottom. It's got to reduce the airflow, or if I put it in the center. I like the center because I see quite a bit of movement on all of those tufts. As soon as I go into the center, I see that there's airflow, but definitely the pressure or the volume that's going through there is slower. So, looking at this thing that I made to fit, maybe cut this and cut the whole thing out, and then graft on one piece in the center. Okay, so looking at this grill restrictor one more time, and the experiments I did with the stir stick in here, I had that in the center and it seemed to work. And I think that could work here too. And that would certainly be the easiest thing to do, would be to build something like that. But I would have to build it and give it a shape like that. It has to be rounded. So if you're going to put a block, even if you put a blockage in there, you need to round. So So it has to come in and has to flow around there. When the air hits that, it all just deflects. But if you're around it, it has the ability, the air will have the ability to go around the oval. So you need to retain a shape similar to that so that air can flow around it without being disturbed too much. You're going to cut off. It does the same job. It cuts off the volume. What I think I'm going to do, instead of putting it across this way, I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 vertical grills here and have them all domed and try to cut down the air about 50% doing that. And I think that will be more pleasing to my eye. So, as usual, I've just given myself more work to do. I had decided by testing that perhaps the easiest thing to do was to put a piece across the center. But as I explained before, I don't really like it. I prefer this look, and I've already got vertical grills in my oil coolers. So this is what I've decided to go with. 3 pieces of wood. I've got lightning holes in there. The woods will be covered in fiberglass, and I'm using wood because I need something rigid, and I figure if it's going to be on there, it might as well help to stop a bird from going in while it's at it. We know that this works, but will this work? So what I've done is I've created a little model here. Kind of looks like that on our scale. So first, we'll just put this in at the top, and you can see the dead air there. And when I put it in the center, you got air movement everywhere, but it's reduced. Inserting my model-sized grill, I think it's the same as this being in the center. There's movement everywhere. It's reduced, of course. See, it goes up. So I think that's going to work. Anyway, that's what we're going to go with.